You ever watch your whole life collapse in front of an audience, with everyone clapping? That's exactly what my Christmas looked like that year. What would you do if the person you loved betrayed you in front of everyone you care about? As a kid, Christmas Eve felt like magic. The tree glowing with lights, the air thick with cinnamon and pine, gifts waiting under the branches. But this time, as a grown man, I sat by the fireplace and felt that magic rot into something darker. My wife, Lisa, floated around the room, smiling too wide, laughing too loud, too cheerful to be normal. Her laugh didn't sound like joy, it sounded like a warning. She'd insisted on hosting the whole family. Her parents had flown in. Her brother, who barely tolerated me, showed up with his new girlfriend. Even my sister, who hadn't visited in 3 years, was there. The living room buzzed with chatter and wine glasses clinking. The firelight flickered on their faces, making every smile look sharper, every laugh feel rehearsed. And in my gut, I knew this wasn't Christmas. This was an ambush. And me? I stayed quiet, watching, waiting. I gripped my glass so tight, my knuckles turned white, praying no one saw through my silence. Strange, isn't it? She always hated hosting these things. Yet this time, she planned everything herself. If you were in my shoes, what would you think? She was moving like a director about to reveal her big scene. Every glance, every laugh, every step felt rehearsed. And I felt it in my gut. When she finally raised that glass, she dropped something that would change everything. That Christmas Eve didn't smell like cinnamon anymore. It smelled like betrayal. The room was warm with laughter, glasses clinking, the fire snapping in the hearth, and then Lisa cleared her throat. That sound cut sharper than the crack of the logs. Even the dog by the fireplace lifted its head, sensing the shift. She smiled, lifted her glass, and said, "Everyone, I have an announcement." The chatter died instantly. Every eye locked on her. She was glowing, like she'd just landed the role of her life. Her fingers tapped the stem of the glass, steady, practiced. She let the silence stretch, savoring it like a performer who knows the spotlight is hers. And then she reached into her bag and pulled out a stack of papers. Not gifts, not letters, something far worse. Divorce papers. "I'm finally leaving him," she declared. The room erupted. Cheers, applause. Even her brother laughed as if this was some kind of inside joke. I sat there frozen, watching them celebrate my humiliation. It felt less like Christmas and more like my own funeral. The lights on the tree blurred in my vision, red and green bleeding together into something ugly. The smell of pine and wine turned sour in my throat. Her parents hugged her. My own sister shook her head at me like I was the villain in this play. Lisa drank in the attention, basking in the glow of her grand reveal. Imagine that. I want to ask you, your wife announcing your downfall like it's a Christmas toast. Would you sit there in silence, or would you snap? I didn't snap. Not yet. Instead, I smiled. Because unlike them, I knew what was waiting under the tree. And when those boxes opened, this party would turn into a nightmare. After her little performance, the room shifted back to chatter and wine, but the air felt heavier. They thought the story was over. They had no idea it hadn't even started. Lisa clinked her glass, kissed her mother's cheek, and leaned into the spotlight like a star basking in applause. I leaned back in my chair, calm as ever, waiting for my cue. Then I said the words I'd been rehearsing. "Perfect timing, honey. Now, why don't we open the gifts?" She froze for just a second, the smallest crack in her mask. But the family cheered. Wrapping paper ripped. Boxes opened. And then the screams. This can't be real!" someone shouted. Lisa's face drained of color. She grabbed one of the boxes, her hands trembling. Inside wasn't jewelry. It wasn't sweaters or perfume. It was proof. Every box held a copy. Photos, messages, bank statements. Evidence of every lie she thought she'd buried. Wrapping paper lay on the floor like confetti at a funeral. Her stage had turned into a courtroom. Her voice cracked. "No, please, this isn't what it looks like." But it was, and every set of eyes that had cheered for her seconds earlier now burned holes through her. The Christmas miracle she dreamed of had turned into her public execution. The room, once buzzing with cheer, turned ice cold. Wrapping paper lay shredded on the floor, forgotten. Every pair of eyes that had sparkled with joy a minute ago now glared at Lisa. Her brother stepped forward, jaw clenched, holding the photos like they were poison. Her parents froze, mouths open, stunned into silence. Even my sister, who hadn't spoken to me in years, just stared at Lisa in disgust. Her brother barked, "You've been cheating? All this time? And you thought tonight was the right night to play victim?" Lisa shook her head violently, stammering, reaching for words that wouldn't come. The evidence scattered across the carpet like shattered glass. I didn't move, didn't raise my voice. I just watched. "Tell me," I'd ask you, "would you step in, defend yourself, or would you sit back and let the truth destroy her?" She tried to gather the papers, tears streaming down her face. But every time she spoke, another voice in the room cut her down. Her mother's trembling whisper, her father's shameful glare. She wasn't the golden daughter anymore. She was the disgrace. Through sobs, Lisa whispered, "Please, stop. This isn't fair." But Fair had left the building the moment she thought humiliating me would make her shine. Now all I had to do was sit still and watch her perfect Christmas collapse. The shouting died down, but the silence that followed cut deeper. Lisa was on her knees, clutching torn papers, her mascara smeared across her cheeks. The same family that had cheered her minutes ago now looked at her like a stranger. And that's when I finally stood up. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You wanted a show tonight? Well, congratulations, you got one." Her lips quivered, eyes begging me to stop. But I didn't. "You thought humiliating me in front of everyone would make you the hero, but all it did was show them who you really are." Gasps echoed across the room. Her parents lowered their heads. Her brother tossed the photos at her feet. Lisa sobbed, broken, her perfect script in ashes. So tell me, I'd ask you, would you forgive her here? Or would you let her drown in the mess she made? I didn't yell. I didn't rage. I just let the truth hang in the air, heavier than any scream. And in that silence, she realized Christmas wasn't ruined for me. It was ruined for her. Lisa crumbled on the living room floor, surrounded by ripped wrapping paper and pieces of her double life. The fire crackled behind me, but the warmth belonged only to me now. Her brother turned away in disgust. Her parents whispered to each other, shame heavy in their voices. Even my sister, who once doubted me, just shook her head at Lisa. And me? I felt nothing but calm. I leaned closer and whispered, "Merry Christmas, Lisa." That night, she didn't lose me. She lost everyone. Her family, her dignity, herself. And the best part? I didn't have to lift a finger. So tell me, do you think I did the right thing, or was I just as cruel as she was? If this story made you feel something, leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Every betrayal has its ending, and here you'll hear them all.